It's time for the Wally Methot Show. Now, here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Marc Methot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wally Methot Show, our one-year anniversary edition. I'm Brent Wallace. He's 13-year NHL veteran defenseman Marc Methot, also known as Mestradamus. Meth, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. It's good to be here.
Did you get me a gift?
No. You know what? I didn't even realize it was that anniversary date until you just told me before the show started. So this is news to me. I'll get you something. I'll get you and Craig something nice.
I'm shocked by the fact that you didn't know this. You're always up on everything.
All right. Yeah, I had it marked on all my calendars, Wally. Yeah. This was a very important date. I just didn't get a chance to look at the calendars this morning.
I would have figured it'd be in your diary entry. But anyway, as always, the Wally Methot Show brought to you by sportsinteraction.com, Canada's online casino and sportsbook. Sportsinteraction.com/Wally Methot for the most competitive live daily odds. Sports Interaction is Canada's leading online sportsbook. And Meth, that reminds me, I'm just going to go right back to Tuesday. I placed a bet. I took all the money I had in my account and placed it on the Sens because the the money line was so big that I figured, why not? And then the Sens go up 2-0, and I'm rich. And then
you sent that in the group chat, right? Like, so you were, because I missed the beginning of the game, and you sent that in the chat. I'm like, oh no, my prediction's going to be way off because you said it. They're up 2-0, right?
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
Just got pummeled.
I can't believe I nailed that one, like to the down to the score, and I took the over. But that was an easy one for me because it's Tampa Bay in Tampa. That is such a hard building to play in. You have to pay attention to my predictions, especially when they're on the road, because I know the tough buildings that they play in. Florida's another one. Like, that is a legit other building that can be very hard to play in at times.
Yeah, they scored 2 goals on 2 shots. I thought, and as I sent the text, I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I know better. I sent it anyway, and then Craig just piled on afterwards.
You jinxed it. It's like calling a shootout, like or not a shootout, a shutout during the game. Like, you just don't do that, especially when you're in the locker room.
Do you remember the Tampa arena has the Tesla coils? If you look up in the corners,
yeah, it's awesome. It's unbelievable. Wild. And they'll play like Thunderstruck. Yeah, I don't know if it's still Thunderstruck, but it was that or Ride the Lightning, the Metallica song. Like they'll flip flop, and it fired me up so much. Like, you'd get into that building and I was just ready to go. When you see those coils coming down and you hear the rock music playing, it was awesome.
It's why. And so for those people that don't know, they're called Tesla coils, and they're up in 2 corners. They're apparently $30,000 each, I think it is, and they create lightning. And it's a buzz in the building. So when I did the Stanley Cup final there and those things went off, like it's wild. Like, it was an amazing time. That's one of those moments that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why is Florida tough to win in, other than, why? Is it because of the beach?
Well, I'll just speak like from my experiences going down there. Like, you're coming up from Ottawa, and it's cold up here, like a lot of the climates, even in New York. Like, this is not just Ottawa. It's not just exclusive to Ottawa. So, but when you go down there and you get off the plane, you just feel the humidity, right? All of a sudden, a part of your mind is saying vacation mode. It's vacation mode. And like, if you're down there a day or two prior to your first game, a lot of guys are going to go down to the beach, especially if you're staying in Fort Lauderdale. And the first thing we do is we belly up at a taco place and we drink beers. Like, that is the first thing. It's completely unavoidable, but you have several groups. You have the guys that like to drink more beer than the other groups. So oftentimes that first game in the Florida trip, you're a little sloppy, between being a little lethargic from the humidity and the heat. There's also a little bit of beer in your system still. And then, of course, by game 2, you're starting to feel yourself. I actually think Ottawa's going to look a lot better against Florida tonight. I still think with Florida's firepower, when I made a prediction, I have to be honest with myself and the numbers. But yeah, Florida's a tough building to play in, only because the weather. And I still remember like rolling in, and we got in there. I think the last year I was there, and Dion was there. I have a picture somewhere in my phone where he's like staring at me and flexing. But I got a picture of him as he was taking his shirt off, like his suit off in the locker room. And he just had the worst lobster tan burn that you've ever seen in your life. And it was amazing. So we were all dying laughing. I know I've told the story before, but we're on the ice for pregame warmup, and I forget which Florida Panther it was, but Dion would always stretch by the center ice red line.
Yeah.
And, so we're all skating around and I'm dying because I'm waiting to see the reactions from some of the Florida Panthers, because he was beat red, like legitimately red, like the Wally and Methot symbol on my hat. And one of the guys, it was a player, it was a former teammate of Dion's, I think. But anyway, we were all having a laugh together at center ice because, he wasn't wearing sunscreen, of course. So lots of fun. There's always a lot of good stories that come from those Florida trips. I'm sure both of you could attest to it. What's the one bar, Wally? It's Elbow Room?
Yes.
Is
I was
it
just going to
Elbow
say,
Room? Yeah.
as you walk down from the hotel, which is it the Ritz-Carlton there? I think it's the Ritz, right?
Great hotel.
Oh,
great
beautiful,
hotel, yeah.
right? And so, but the best part is the players all get the oceanside view, and you can always look over. Wow. We're at the back of the parking lot, the air conditioning.
So you've got the Bush League lagoon view, like
So, and I do like it's I don't know 100 meters down, and it's these 3 little bars, or it's one bar, but it's just right there by the beach. So I could always remember coming back from dinner, and by the end of the night, it just seemed like the entire team and all the media and everybody were at this one bar just having some Lagunitas.
It's great. It's great. I miss that. I miss heading down to Florida, getting off the plane in the middle of winter, because what a great excuse, right? You're doing it. You're getting paid to do this. And you don't realize in the moment how fortunate you are until you're done and removed from that. And you're like, man, I wish I could go back and appreciate it more.
Yeah, it's that stuff. I remember, I think Florida was the first time we had gotten perhaps a police escort, because they used to do it for that arena because it was so far away.
Well, and we always did the escort as well in New Jersey, right? So it was New Jersey and Florida.
Carolina occasionally, no? Did you get Carolina?
I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I don't remember Carolina, but it doesn't matter. The escorts in general are badass. Like, they're so much fun, right? You just rip right to the rink. The cops cut like right through like butter on the highway to get you there through all the traffic. It's awesome.
The Sens got Winnipeg in trouble. I don't know if you were on the team at the time. I know Jordan Silmser, who was the travel guy, got a lot of shit because I forget how it happened, but Winnipeg, Ottawa had gotten a police escort in Winnipeg, and the Winnipeg people saw it and flipped out and didn't want the taxpayers to pay it. And so I think the Sens had to pay for the police escort.
The teams always pay for the escorts.
Not in the US.
In the States.
No.
Oh, well, in Florida, New Jersey, the team, that's why I was kind of surprised there. Like, this has nothing to do with the taxpayers, but
Winnipeg,
that's my fault then.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't be paying for an escort. I will give them that.
I forget.
Despite me despising Winnipeg as a whole, because I just think the city's terrible.
We'll move on.
Okay, we'll move on. We don't have a lot of Winnipeg viewers, so we're good.
Yeah, all of a sudden our Edmonton and Winnipeg views are down.
Edmonton, I don't mind. Edmonton's fine. And now that they have the new building there, that city rocks. And in Mexico, I met a couple from Edmonton, and all we did was talk about the Oilers all week. It was amazing. These guys would travel back from Arizona. He's retired, travels from Arizona to Edmonton back and forth, and he's got season tickets right down there on the glass, and he's talking to me about McDavid the whole time. So we had a lot of fun with that. But anyway, I've nothing but love for Edmonton. Okay.
Yeah, this is a legit question, which is going to throw Craig way off because it's not in the lineup. Is if you had a choice right now to take either Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid as a pair, or Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner as a pair, not in the playoffs, because I think Mitch Marner is not a playoff person at the moment. Which pair do you want on your team?
I hope Craig cuts that clip and we tag all the Toronto fanboys to it, and then you get attacked by them. No, I would take Draisaitl and McDavid in a heartbeat. The pace that they play at together, and they've had a little more success, I want to say, in the postseason. It's hard to say right now. It's probably pretty close. I know it's you can't, but I like those two. I like, if as a player, I'd rather play against Matthews and Marner, and they're very good, very, very good players. I don't like stacking them up against each other, but if I had to pick, I'd say McDavid and Draisaitl are a little more dangerous.
See, Austin Matthews, to me, his game is on a different level right now.
Right now it is.
Yeah.
Yes. But I want to see him and Marner do it in the postseason, because those two fell asleep last year.
Agreed.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I think Mitch Marner's skill level is off the charts.
Right? Marner's ability. Marner, actually, there are a lot of, like, they're very different in many ways, but they're also very similar in the way they handle the puck going up the neutral zone between him and Draisaitl. They're very, very good at penetrating that up the middle of the ice and creating lanes for Matthews and McDavid, respectively, on their team. So they're both very good players, a little different, But I don't like I hate comparing the two because I'm sure one fan base will be pissed off, but you know what? I'm still going to stick to it. McDavid Draisaitl.
Okay, well, in either one of those fan bases will be Ottawa, so that's all we care about. By the way, our guest today is eventually, when we get to it, is Radek Bonk. He's the sixth leading scorer all-time in franchise history. He really basically helped to stabilize this organization way back in the day. He was the third pick in the first round, I guess, if you will, after Alexei Yasin and Alex Degg. It was then Radek Bonk who had the great flow and the mullet. So he's into the show. I'm excited because he never does interviews like this. We haven't talked to him in years, so I'm looking forward to it. As always, nice. That, by the way, Meth, is brought to you by the always cool, refreshing taste of whitewater beer. New flavor alert, Meth. New flavor alert. It's a kiwi lime sour called Funky Fresh.
Ooh.
See, I think that you should have had this in Mexico.
Well, it's funny. I was using the Dawn Patrol the other night for my beer can chicken. And then, of course, I still had 3/4 left. So I smashed that and had another one. But love their citrus beers are great for even for cooking. Like, they're fantastic beers, but they're very versatile. This is not, by the way, part of the ad. That's just me fawning over some of their good beer. I'm just a huge fan.
Yeah, no. So the Funky Fresh, and I've always joked with them a bit. I'm not a huge sour guy. As you know, I'm pretty straight laced.
They're great in the summer. They're great in the summertime. Actually, they're good in the winter too, because they're a little heavier. But I associate them like that, like the kiwi lime one. That one, I'm very curious. I don't know how that works. It'll be interesting.
It launches today, actually. New coupon code, by the way, for it. So go to shopwhitewater.ca, use wham-funky fresh. It'll be up on the screen. That's in the coupon code. Get 15% off, but it includes the entire Whitewater brand. You can use it for anything. Whitewater, as always, is brewed by friends for friends. It is the official beer of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Get home delivery, and also a reminder, stop by the restaurant if you want. 78 Cobden Road, grab a pint and a meal. Great poutine there, by the way. All right, Matt, time for a little bit of Sens talk, and that is, let's start with number one. And as of the time we're recording this, Josh Norris is set to make his return after missing 15 games. They get their number one center back in the lineup. This just basically a couple of days after getting Colin White in for his season debut. They are 6-8-1 without Josh Norris in the lineup. Of course, that also includes not having Drake Batherson as well. Huge boost to this Sens.
Yeah, and Whitey's been good. I mean, I think a lot of people have been pleasantly surprised with his play, although it's been very small, of course. But nevertheless, that's good.
You got to start.
And good news for Ottawa. He's had a good start. And then, of course, now when you get Norris back, you're getting your number one guy, and it's not just offensively where he's very good, by the way, on their power play. It's also just your 200-foot game, so a player like him. Not that Ottawa's been struggling that much defensively, save maybe last game against Tampa, where Tampa kind of opened it up a little bit. But with Josh Norris, you're going to get a guy that's very good on draws. He's very responsible. He's obviously one of the big leaders on this team, brings goal scoring back into this lineup. So I could go on and on about the numbers and the trivial stats. None of that really matters. What's most important is that you're going to get a leader back who logs big minutes. The question will be, how healthy is he? And, can he sustain a full game? But I'm sure they're prepared for that. And they'll probably have to dial back his minutes a little bit to start.
One thing to point out, you brought up the power play. Without him in the lineup, again, it includes Drake Batherson. Their power play is just at 10%. You can see where it hurts them, obviously, as you talk about the power 100%. Play. The other thing it does that, and people, I guess we gloss this over a lot, is when you put someone back in your lineup that is your number one center or slots back into where he belongs, it moves that person that's in that lineup, in that spot, who may not be where he should be, right? So it gets them back into the lineup where they should be playing, which makes your lineup a whole lot better.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's the same thing applies on defense. When you see a player like Zub, well, Zub's pretty healthy all the time, but even with Shabbat, all of a sudden you had to have Brandstrom up there playing extra minutes. It's the same applies to everywhere, right? Everyone slots back into their respective roles, and the responsibility lessens a little bit more. They're more comfortable playing those regular minutes that they're accustomed to against the lines that they're accustomed to. And it's a huge difference. One player can make a huge difference. So that's especially when we're talking about the top six up front. So like I said, it's a huge boost for this team. For me, the biggest thing will be, can he last the 60 minutes? Is he fully healthy? Is the injury still lingering? Are there still issues? If you can get past all that, which I'm sure he has, they have a fantastic medical staff there on that team. So I have all the confidence in the world that he'll make a big difference tonight.
You just made me think of something when it came to injuries, and I meant to bring this up to you, was Colin White in the last game of Tampa, Corey Perry's kind of running around, and I know you know Corey Perry very well from London, but he's got a hold of Colin White behind the net. And I'm curious of your thoughts, because there's no way Corey Perry doesn't know that Colin White's just back into the lineup recently from shoulder surgery that's kept him out all year. Is there a line to not cross? I think that's why Brady's kind of pissed also at the same time. Like, he's like, you can't touch Whitey right now. He's just coming back from injury. Is there a line there you have to look after? Or if you're on the ice, you're basically fair game? You're
fair game. I mean, and two things can be true. And Brady's allowed to get upset as well. That's what happens when you play a contact sport, right? I mean, it's not like players targeting anybody in particular, but you're certainly not going to take it easier on a guy because maybe he's coming back from shoulder surgery. I don't care. Like, this is, so if I'm an opponent, and I know you're just asking and you're probably agreeing with me, but if you're the opponent and you're Corey Perry, you don't want to look stupid on the play. So you're going to play everybody hard. You're going to make sure that you're physical. Even if it means a cheap shot here and there, that's hockey. That's the game within the game that you have to play in. And then Brady, of course, is going to do his job as, I don't want to call him an enforcer by any means, but he's fully capable of doing that role if he has to. And, but that's also, I played with Paris lots in junior, and we've always kind of had a mutual respect. I used to play against them a ton when I was in Columbus and he was in Anaheim, and I played him hard. We were really good buds. We won a Memorial Cup together, but I also laid him out every opportunity I had in Columbus. That's just seriously. So not all the table. Once you're on the ice, your livelihoods are at stake. There's money on the line. These guys have families. I know Corey Perry does. It's like, I don't care what happened to you last game or what happened to you 4 months ago. If I can run you over, I'm going to run you over. And that's the game.
When you ran him over, did you ever say anything like, hey, how you doing?
No, but he would, like, you could hear him kind of squirm a little bit, like, we're like, oh, like, or, he'd say like, come on, Matt, like guys like that. And we would laugh at times too. It's not like I was playing dirty, but I would finish my checks. And, being a little bit bigger than Corey, I mean, he's very tall, but I was heavier. I'd have a little more muscle on him, but I mean, that's part of the game, right? Like, I played against a lot of guys that I've had a bit of a history with, and you have to understand that once you're out there, like, I don't want to look dumb by taking it easy on you. If I take it easy on a forward for a split second and he makes me look stupid, well, guess what? I go back to the bench and I get reamed out by the coach. So it's part of the game.
Does Corey Perry enjoy being the heel in the National Hockey League?
Oh my God. Corey Perry was an elite. I mean, he's always been an elite scorer and point guy, but when I played with him in London, I mean, this guy was our top scorer. He had over 100 points, especially that Mem Cup season. And, I still remember him playing in the, we were playing against Rimouski in the Memorial Cup even in the final game, I believe it was. He was a pest. He was getting under the Rimouski player's skin. He was giving guys little hacks in the back of their legs. He would stop short or a little extra late, I should say, in front of the opponent's net. Anything he could do to get under the skin, he would do. And I remember him taking some big cheap shots. Like, one guy suckered him pretty hard and almost knocked him out in a game. That's part of his game. I believe his nickname is still the Worm. It's just, he likes to play the heel role, and he's really good at it. And look at him. He's my age and he's still playing, and he's playing very well. He's having a good season.
He is. He's playing really well.
Yeah.
Trade deadline is nearing on March 21st, 18 days away. By the way, Chris Tierney's out for a week, which isn't a big deal usually, but when the trade deadline's approaching and you're a UFA, everything seems to get ratcheted up. But the guy I really want to kind of ask about is Nick Paul. So you've been in the room, and from a month out, all the reporters are coming in and going, is there concern over a trade deadline? Are you worried? Are you thinking about it? Like, we bring it up every day. So with 3 weeks to go, roughly, what's the mood like in a room where there's so much for decisions that need to be made with certain guys?
Well, I hope they sign Nick Paul, Wally. I think I speak for a lot of the fans when I say that, because I'm not I've said this before. I know I'm not a big numbers person, so I don't always understand the business transaction aspect of the game, where sometimes you'll see a puzzling move where there was actually many underlying reasons for moving said player. But I can say that the mood is a little awkward, especially for a player like Nick Paul. Obviously, he's a pro. He's not going to let it bother him. But at the same time, it's on your mind every day you go to the rink, right? And you start to develop a little bit of a, what's the right word? It's not resentment, but it creates some shitty
tension.
Feelings, because Yeah. Attention would be the right word, because you're going to the rink and all of a sudden you're going back to the group where, the management is playing hardball with you in your camp, and they don't want to give you what you believe you deserve. And it's hard when you're looking at all the comparables too, right? Like I can remember when I was trying to sign my deal, very similar situation to Nick Paul, right? Like very similar timeline where free agency, where the trade deadline was approaching and it was around the corner. And I was going to the rink and thinking, like, I was pissed off, like I was thinking like, man, like just this is, I'm not asking for more than I think I should have. Yeah. But all, this player and this guy that are all the very similar players to myself with the similar stat lines are all making, this amount of money. I think I deserve that. And that's probably where Nick Paul's at right now. He's going to say the right things in the media. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus, but that weird kind of tension that you had just mentioned, Wally, it's there. It's unavoidable. And it's going to grow bigger and bigger and more palpable the closer you get to that deadline date. So it'll be interesting to see how Ottawa handles it. I still think he has to get it done. I still think they will get it done. I do firmly believe that. I don't have any insiders. I don't know his agent. Yeah. I don't talk to Paulie, but I do think it's going to get done because he's just too valuable for this team. So, players like Tierney, Sanford, I can see them moving. Tierney's injured. That might hurt the cause a little bit, because certainly if you're a team on the other end looking for depth guys, you want to make sure they're healthy. But I can't speak for what their worth is. I quite frankly have no idea. Like, or even for a player like Nick Paul, is he even worth a first round pick at this point? Like, I don't know the answer to that. I actually have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a high second and maybe like a depth piece, but a first rounder, tough to say.
Back to those distractions for a second. One thing I always noticed was, and fair enough, is if it's you that needs the deal or Nick Paul, you don't really want to speak a lot, right? You don't really want to come out and talk.
What do you gain from it?
Because there's nothing to say. Exactly. But you know what happens is now all your teammates are getting asked. So now all the other players are like, what do you want me to say? Or how do you want me to and so it grows through, it goes through the room. The other issue is you, like your girlfriend, your wife, your spouse is like, can we make plans in the next month? What can we do? So you're getting it from all different sides, right? That's why it's such a tough time.
And it's yes. And I am acknowledging that it is absolutely a first world problem, obviously. Sure. And it's not like these players are looking for any sympathy from anybody. It's just, as you said, when you're trying to focus on the game, which at this level, at any elite level in any sport, the focus needed to play well every night, consistently every other night, like it's insane. Like you're devoting all your focus into this game, into this craft. So any little distraction can be a major thing, and it can affect your game and your performance on the ice. And we might be seeing that a little bit right now with Paulie. I mean, like that weighs heavy on you. It's your job security moving forward. That's the funny thing with sports, right? It's like, you don't know what's going to happen next year. He could play 10 terrible games in a row, and it could seriously affect the value that he may or may not sign on that next deal. So there's a lot at play. I'm sure he's starting to feel the heat a little bit. I'm sure the team is starting to feel the heat a little bit, but at the end of the day, I do firmly believe that something will get done. I mean, he's just that valuable right now. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I'm not suggesting at all that people are complaining. It's just, I'm trying to just show
no.
the dynamic of what all is transpiring.
But it's unbelievable that we have to talk about that now. Like I felt compelled to mention, I understand it's a first world problem. Like, I hate that I even have to say that shit, because
I don't even think of that.
We're talking sports. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, but in any case, you're right. He's going to have family members reaching out to him, his wife or girlfriend, whoever is going to be curious. Everyone's going to be asking him questions. We all have these damn cell phones now and social media, and it's almost impossible to not see the news and the articles popping up. So I don't envy his position at this moment. I've been through it. It sucks. It weighed heavy on me when I went through it. It caused physical issues. I'm pretty sure my back problems were a big reason from all the stress, right? Like, I think there was a correlation there, but and I'm repeating myself for the third time. No. I do think it'll get done. So we'll see.
I hope so. The longer it goes, the more I get worried, but again, there's no pressure point yet. So we'll see how it goes.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking of anniversaries, let's see here. 2 days ago, or yesterday, I'm trying to remember now. March 2nd, 2014 was the day that you played the Heritage Classic in Vancouver. It was supposed to be an outdoor game, but it ended up that the weather, they couldn't guarantee it, so they closed it. So It's the first outdoor game to be played in what's technically an indoor stadium. But
that was fun.
It was weird because you're just playing in a big football stadium indoors. It
yeah, but it was
that, for
it
us,
was open.
It didn't have that feel. For you guys, I'm sure it did.
Oh, well, oh yeah. Well, in any case, we had a blast. Like I still remember that evening after the game having beers with Eric in his room, because it was an afternoon game, and then we had the whole evening afterwards, and Carl had a suite. And I still remember the name of the suite. I think it was called the Topaz Suite at the Pan Pacific. But no, it was a great day. We had such a good time with that. I mean, going to the arena, you were given all kinds of free swag, and obviously you're playing in a football stadium. And I don't remember the attendance number, but I certainly remember the scale when you walked out through the tunnel and you could see everybody. I mean, it was really cool. And I love, and I know we laugh because it wasn't really an outdoor game, but like, I don't know. It was snowing in there during the game a little bit. The weather was perfect. It was maybe a little on the mild side at times.
It was warm.
But for a player, it's like, I didn't have to wear some painful neck guard or a toque or something like that. I mean, we could dress normal, go out there and play, and we won the game. I mean, it was great. It was such a blast. So I'll never forget that. A lot of it was a bit of a blur, but we got some really cool swag out of it because we were wearing those heritage jerseys, right? So we had the toques and the jerseys and all that.
I really like those jerseys. I really like the heritage. Yeah. But they don't, I wish they would bring them back. Like those are the ones I think were probably my favorite of all time.
Yeah. When those had the cream, like it wasn't all black. It wasn't the old school O, it was the heritage O, right? And it was like a cream colored beige or something like that, I think.
Yeah. It's my daughter has that jersey with your name on it, actually.
Oh, right on. Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome jerseys. But yeah, we had a good time. She
also owns a Crosby jersey too. But anyway, you played 25-11 of that game. You were a -1.
Nice. That's okay.
Daniel Sedin played 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Would you care to elaborate on that?
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. Well, I always played them hard. You know, we joked about it when we had Bex on, and that carried over into my Ottawa days too, right? And because they're wall players, so they love using the walls together. So they're kind of like Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaff when they were together. They'd always use the walls to pass the puck and find each other. But with Getzlaff and Perry, they were a little bit bigger and stronger and more physical. But with the Sedins, I was able to bully them a little more. So they would turn their backs to try to protect the puck. And I remember doing this to them also in Columbus. I'd be like, okay. And I'd just lean on them hard from behind, and they would never call those hits. Like you could lean on a guy from behind if you were really close to the wall, and the rest will let it go. So I believe I caught Daniel pretty hard at the beginning of that game. I think toward the end of the first period, maybe. And I think he got hurt on the play. And then I still remember, Bieksa and Burrows going after me the whole rest of the game. But I always did well against the Sedins. I just had I think I had them figured out a little bit. I can't say that about a lot of players, but I can say that about those two.
Until you said I folded Daniel Sedin, or you said I folded one of the Sedins, I didn't know anything. And then I started looking up pictures and stuff. There's some great snaps of you just pasting him into the corner.
Yeah, he went in awkward, and I think his legs were sort of like split a little bit. So I think he may have hurt his hip or something on the play. I never want to hurt a player, obviously, but no, I certainly don't like getting scored on. So that, anyway, that was an unfortunate. It was a casualty of outdoor game. I was all fired up.
So for the media, this one, we know nothing about the game because there's only one incident that happened that anybody remembers. And that's Roberto Luongo didn't start. And Roberto Luongo never played another game again for the Vancouver Canucks. So that's the game where all we cared about afterwards was what's going on between the two of them. And so 2 days later, Roberto Luongo gets traded back to Florida.
I don't even remember who played in his spot. Who was their backup? It was Lack. That's right.
It was Eddie Lack. Yeah. And he had played really well going in. But Luongo had talked about how excited he was and had the gear, right? And everything was set up.
Yeah, that was torts. Hey, like just class torts. I know.
Why would you do that? That's what I don't know. That just a power move? Like when Spezza was scratched by Mike Babcock against the Sens, and Babcock did it to like Mike Modano, I think, for his 1000th game or something ridiculous. Like
that's straight up ego. I'm sorry. Yeah. But you just don't do that. You don't do that. Like what good comes from scratching star players like that? Like they're on your team. Those star players have signed with you. I know I'm not going to go on a long rant here. But you've just signed these long term, not long term, but you've just signed these older all-star players, and you're not going to use them. You're just going to scratch them and try to use that and make an example of the player. Like, that's bad form. Anyway, he got scrutinized for it plenty. I don't need to get into it, but the same logic applies here with Torts and Luongo. You just don't do it.
It just completely overshadowed the game, which was too bad, because I mean, it was pretty cool. It was, you guys were the last two Canadian teams to play outdoors.
Exactly. You nailed it there. It's a distraction.
Yeah, totally. So for those who don't know, it was a 4-2 Ottawa win. Clark MacArthur, Erik Karlsson, Cody Ceci, and Colin Greening all scored in that game. As I said, 4 goals scored. You were -1.
I couldn't have been that bad. I played 25 minutes and we won.
25 minutes. Yeah. So I'm
doing something right.
Yeah. Eric only played 26 something. So, if I'm not, you brought it up. I think Eric had a suite in every hotel on the road that year.
No. I don't. Well, maybe in the hotels that the suites were available. And I'm not like, this wasn't a contentious thing. Like, we're not saying Eric should not have
but as you said it, it reminded me of, I've talked to people doing stuff with travel and they were like, oh yeah, Eric, because he was the captain, always got like the suite. Yeah.
Well, he deserved it. If he did get it all the time, he deserved it, because he was playing, like Shabbat, playing 27 minutes a night on one leg. So, but I can't remember. I don't recall him always having one, because we'd oftentimes go hang out in his room and stuff. And I don't always remember seeing this, but he probably had it more often than not. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That is the headlines. Coming up right after this is the Radek Bonk interview, brought to you by Whitewater Beer. Go to shopwhitewater.ca. Use that Wham-Funky Fresh coupon, 15% off the entire Whitewater shop, and use that to pick up the new flavor of Funky Fresh. It's called. It's a kiwi lime sour. Anyway, we'll be right back after this. You're watching the Wally Methot Show. Time now to welcome into the chat one of the legends of the Ottawa Senators. Over 600 games played with the Ottawa Senators. And the one guy that gave me the most grief early on in my career and had his stall closest to the shower so he could get out quicker than anybody and avoid the media. Radek Bonk, welcome to the show.
You're absolutely right. How you doing,
Jeff? You know what? I'm going to start right there while I can. Did you purposely choose that locker stall? It's the one, and Meth, you'll know about this because you were close in that corner too. You guys can skip out as quick because it's the furthest from the media door, basically.
That was my seat too.
So, did you pick it on purpose?
No. Actually, earlier on, I wasn't on that seat. I was like 3-4 seats down.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know who that was who left, and I got that stall. It's I like that room. On the, you got the room on the one side, extra room. You can
exactly
air stuff. It wasn't because I didn't want to talk to the media, but it was just a little extra room, and you had that, a foot and a half of extra on the side, so you could put your stuff. So, and which is funny story now. Moved back here 6 years ago, and our massage therapist, ex-massage therapist, unfortunately passed away last week, called me and said, Bonkie, I found your stall. And I was like, what do you mean you find my stall? Go to the Sens store at the what's the little mall there called?
In Carlingwood.
No, the close to the rink.
What?
Close to the hockey rink, there's this outside mall.
It's a Tanger Outlets.
The outlets.
The outlets. Sorry, guys, I totally skipped. So go there. There was the little Senator store. Go there. They have your stall. And we used to sign on them when you open the lid of the bottom seat. You used to sign with our names just to see who was in there. So surely enough, I go in the store and I see the stall. I lift it up. My name's in. I was like, oh my God, that's my old stall. Like, so I talked to the manager there and stuff. I said, this is my old stall. Which can I have it? They said, yeah, no problem, well, and they delivered to me, and it's actually right over there. I still put my, coaching stuff in it. That's the original. Now they have the cushion seat. Now this is the water one. I still have the original one. It was, worked out great.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So Wally, if you want to, Mark, if you want to sit in it, sometime for a good. You can come over anytime and just sit in there and just will remind you of good times.
Beautiful. Were you one of those guys? Because I'm like that, like between periods where you just take off all your equipment and like strip down. Is that why you needed all that extra space?
I didn't totally down, but I took the top off, untied my skates, took the shoulder pads, the elbow pads, because I used to change my shirt after every period.
Me too.
So it's just a little relaxed, and but I like that extra room, and all the reporters think that was because I tried to get away quickly as possible, but that wasn't the reason.
You didn't always like being interviewed, though.
I wasn't a big fan. I was, I was still, when you asked me about this interview a week ago or so, I got nervous already, and I might have been the language barrier too.
For sure.
Something stupid or like sound like a donkey. So it wasn't because I didn't like you guys, but it's just I don't think I was ever comfortable doing big interviews or even small ones. But so that was the reason why, and nothing personal.
No, that's exactly why I was always reluctant to do a lot of, like, I'm bilingual, so I speak French too. But no matter how well I think I might speak, when you're doing interviews, you never want to come across the wrong way, right? And I get a little anxious knowing that I have to do one, so I can completely relate. But having said that, you sound great. So let's just continue here.
All right. Thanks a lot. That's a little boost for my confidence here. Let's go.
That's funny because we always remember certain things that you've said to either Ian Mendes or I or other people. And whenever I ever think of you, the first thing that pops into my head is Marian Hossa in 03-04 is leading the team. I think he ends up with like 46 goals. You're his line mate. So I go over to, like, every day it seemed we'd always go over and ask you about the 3-point game he had. And every once in a while you would just go, what am I, his fucking agent? And so that was always the best part. Yeah. Did you you played a lot with Haas in your first cup? Did you enjoy him? Was he your favorite winger?
I think so. I think he's still like probably the best player I've ever played with. Overall, he just me and Ari, he just completed that line. Before Haas came in, we were more like have the defensive duties for Jacques. Trying to shut down the top lines on the other. But with Haas, the scoring came, and that's how we were still the shutdown line, but we transferred more to offense, and where everybody benefited from playing against the top lines, because we started to notice that the top lines usually didn't want to play defensive, in their own defensive zone, and we're like, hey, we might, if you do a good job one way, we can take advantage of them in the offensive zone.
You played, when you played in the IHL for 2 seasons before you came to Ottawa, you had, I think it's 107 points in 109 games, but you had 208 penalty minutes. What were you doing that was in 1 year?
I don't know. It was a new game for me. I think I had 5 10-minute missed contacts that year. You know what? I was like I said, I came over, I didn't speak the language. I was, the game was way tougher than, growing up back home. There was a lot of, especially in the minors, there was a lot of guys, coming after you, especially young kid coming from Czech Republic. And I was having great season too. So, there was, I'm sure there was a lot of, slashing, retaliation penalties and stuff like that. But I did have 5 10-minute missed contacts. I don't even know for what, but yeah, everybody's asking me. I was like, you must have fought a lot. I was like, no, I had, I think, 2 fights, and that didn't go that well.
Well, and Radek, was there, because you were a big guy, like when you came into the league in your time, like 6'3", 210 or whatever you were at that time. I don't know exactly what your height and weight was, but I'm assuming you're one of the bigger players. Was there a lot of pressure on you from coaches or other people over here in North America to play more physical? Yes.
It was, everybody always thought, big guys, but
yeah,
growing up back home, we didn't play. I didn't grow up playing that game. I was always skilled guy, and we didn't fight. There was no fights in Czech, right? And you got suspended for even trying to fight it. And so it was kind of different, and everybody thought I should, transition and play that kind of, heavy game. But it's when you grow up playing something different, it's hard. You gotta. It doesn't come, I guess, naturally to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Butch Goring was your coach that year, the Hall of Famer. What was he like for you as a coach? Because he would obviously played a completely different game than you were used to, for sure.
He was great. That guy was and we had Bobby Bourne, another, four-time Stanley Cup champion with the Islanders. They were awesome. They, taught me a lot and kind of let me play my game. I had a couple of great teammates and Patrice Lefebvre and Ken Quinney. We dominated. It was a fun season. And but he didn't push me into like, okay, you big guy, you gotta start hitting. He let me play the skill game, and I really appreciated it. It was a fun season.
All right, so you're a teenager. You're in Vegas on your own.
Yes.
How many late nights would you have had throughout those 2 seasons?
0, 1. The thing is, I did one of the conditions for me moving there by myself was I did bring my parents. So good. After the training camp, I brought my parents over, and I had my mom's cooking still, and my dad drove me around because I didn't have a driver license. Because in Czech Republic, you get driver license when you're 18.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I couldn't have done it without him. Late nights, a couple times, boys brought me out, but remember I was in the US and I was 17 years old. So, not a lot of places to let you in at that age, but I guess me being 6'3" and 200 pounds and, beard and kind of helped. So guys did take me out a couple times, but I wasn't out a lot. And obviously casinos were out of the question. And but there's a lot more things that you can do in Vegas for a kid, 17-year-old kid. So I enjoy being there. It was eye-opening for a kid from a small town in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that was an experience of my life for sure.
Your parents must have loved it, no? Like you're going into like this beautiful desert, like vacation area, and you're living there for 2 years. How did they enjoy it?
They of course they did. I growing up in a communist country, and we only switched, I think, in 89, 90, after the revolution. So that was eye-opening for them. Like, you stores and you have everything in checks. We waited the lines for bananas and oranges, and then you come to US and you have this grocery store. My mom was like little kid in the Lego land. She all the stuff they have, and
that's great.
It was eye-opening for them. But my dad was, never a big gambler, but sometimes during my practices, we practiced in the Santa Fe, kind of our practice ring, and there was the casino attached to the ring. So, he was there throwing his quarters into the machines and watching practice at the same time. But you know what? He never was a big gambler, so there was no worry that we would spend too much money.
That's good.
So good.
That's good.
How often do you think of bringing the mullet back?
Oh my God. If I had quarter for every time somebody asked me that, you know what? People always say, your mullet's so famous. He has his own Twitter account. And I, you know what? I should just to please some people, but that was
it wouldn't look very professional as a coach, though, right? That's the only issue.
You know what? The kids, a couple of years ago, the kids, I was coaching the AAA Myers, and the kids were kind of like, "Coach, you should bring it back. You should bring it back." I was like, I don't know, because I see pictures from my draft, and in the first year, and I was like, "What?" But then that was the years, right? That was me and the eggs just rocking out the big mullet. Some of the pictures are embarrassing though. I'm like, come on, what were you thinking, buddy?
Did you and Yager always talk about the mullet?
No, we never. I already met him when I was in Vegas. His love for casinos in Vegas. So my first year there, I met him for a couple of minutes just because, he was one of my, idols coming from Czech Republic. And so I met him, but we played on the team once, I think, during the 96 World Cup, but I don't think we were the best buds.
Well, you, if I'm not mistaken, let me look this up. Your first All-Star game in Toronto, he assists on your goal from Yager and Martin Ruchinski.
Possible. Yes.
Ah.
I know I did score a goal. But, no, we were fine. But we were, we don't visit each other's, families or anything. And I wouldn't say that. He had a hard. I think he had a hard time because, like I said before, I was playing against the top lines, and usually it's playing against him, right? When you played whatever team he was on, Pittsburgh or Rangers later, all those things. So I was tough, and I knew kind of how to get under his skin, those little slashes when nobody's, across the wrist, and go after his hands, right? And I don't think he liked me for that very much. He wasn't a big fan of me playing, and he always like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, well, cannot just let you score. Like, he still did. I'm not saying he never scored a lot of points, but instead of 5, he had 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to your Ottawa time. But before that, we're gonna do Pearls of Wisdom, where we learn a little bit more about you. Brought to you by sportsinteraction.com. So, a couple of numbers for you: 689. That's the 5th most games played in franchise history. 4. You're the 4th youngest Senator to score a goal. You were 19 years old. In 18 days, you scored against Pittsburgh. 76. First player in NHL history to wear number 76. Wayne Primo wore it that year as well, but he wore it at a later time. You're still the only Senator to wear it. And 69, the assist on goals scored by Marian Hossa, the most of any teammate in your NHL career. That's how you and Haas got along so well. You just gave him the puck.
Haas was great. He was an all-around player, just helped me a lot in my career. And, obviously now he's a Hall of Famer, and, nobody deserved it more.
Your first 155 games in the National Hockey League, you had 33 wins. For those who don't know, you were the 1994 pick. You were 3rd overall. Ottawa had selected Yasin and Deg as their first 2 first-round picks just before you in their franchise history. Did you think, after coming from Vegas, where you had success, of what a struggle this is going to be?
It was well, when I was coming, they were already the worst team in the league, right? And it was tough. Like, that was tough as a hockey player. You want to win. And those first 2 years were tough, and it wasn't until Jacques came along and gave us kind of direction, which way we have to play, to be successful. And he was strict about, he knew what he wanted, and he was really strict about players playing that way. And then he turned it around. But any player that was ever on the team that loses a lot, we can tell you, it's like you don't feel like playing anymore. Sometimes you're like, come on, like, where does this end? And sometimes you have a good games as a team, and then you lose anyway, and that kicks you in the nuts even more. And so it was hard. But I'm glad we worked through it and we got out of it.
It did. You did. Now, if I were to bring up the Toronto Maple Leafs, would you get a nervous twitch?
Not anymore. Yeah, that was our kryptonite there for our playoffs. They were a tough team, and no matter how good we did in the regular season, they were. I think they were built a little bit better for playoffs as a team. And we were maybe sometimes more skill, and but come playoff times with the rule changes, right? We played the season, and
Exactly.
all the hold on us, and now playoffs game, and you got the bear hugs in the corners, and and they had that kind of players that could play that game better, I think, than us. And then over years it just became mental too. We're like, oh crap, police playoffs, like. But anyway, we were close a couple times, but they just couldn't, hop that hurdle.
Who was the other player, Wally, that we had on that talked exactly that? It was
Shane
another
Knighty.
guy that we did. Was it Nides that said that?
Yeah.
Was it not another player prior though that had mentioned the playoffs? It was
They all
always just
say
a different team. They all say it. I guess it's a consensus among the retired players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
so
the
Bonkie,
inconsistency in the officiating, right? Like you could
Yeah.
clutch grab. So they had so much toughness and size that all your skill went out the window. And I think Nides was saying that like that team was built for modern day NHL, like the amount of skill and speed you guys had, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like we would do better like in this, last 10 years.
100%.
Yeah, we were kind of built. Like I said, I think they were built a little bit more for the playoffs. They had the guys, that kind of, meanness, toughness, and needed to do whatever they needed to do, kind of to get us off our games, and obviously, unfortunately, worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yasin sits out the 99-2000 season. You end up leading the team in points that year. So how would you look back at Yasin sitting out? Were you obviously happy-ish with it because of the success you got to have that year?
We weren't happy about it. I think he still had a contract, right? Or
he wanted it renegotiated. We
were kind of, how would I say it? Like, I have nothing. I love Yash. He was a great guy. He was quiet. We always got along. Like, it's hard to say. We were mad. We were just frustrated. Maybe, he was our top offensive guy, but fortunately it worked out for me. I got to play more and, and kind of the lead role. And so it was good for me, but I don't think it was, I don't know if it was good for the team or not, but it was kind of frustrating. And Yash, like I said, I never had problems with Yash. I think it was more his agent. I don't think his agent did the advice he was getting. I don't think he should have listened to him as much as he did, because he turned a lot of people in Ottawa against him, which is unfortunate. And people always had that wrong idea about Yash, but like Yash was a great guy. I didn't mind him at all.
We just had Shane Knighty on talking about Yash at training camp, and Nides goes and fights him. Do you remember that incident?
I don't remember fighting him. I know he was chasing him around, but I don't think I remember.
Yeah, that's what.
Nice.
Fairness,
that was Nice's first year, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's what he said. He wanted to make the team.
He didn't say he fought him though. He said he was going after him, right?
I don't remember fighting. I don't think Yash would fight. You know what? Yash would put on a good fight. Yash was a strong man.
Solid.
His forearms were unbelievable. Like, he was a strong dude.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would fight him. And Nice, I kind of remember Nice chasing him around, and we were kind of thinking, who the hell is this guy? That's fine.
By the way, you finished with 399 career points in Ottawa. That is the sixth most in franchise history. 03-04. So I should go 02-03 first of all. That season is the President's Cup team. You had 52-21, 8-1. Like, you just dominated the league. That becomes the Roger Nielsen moment in the playoffs. Can you take me through that moment of what that was like?
Yeah, I just got the shivers again. It was, we were, like you said, we had a great season, and playoffs, we were good at playoffs. Then we play in Jersey, we fall down 3-1, and then Roger had his speech in the locker room, which from that point we were like, okay, we're not going to lose another game we're gonna. And then we beat New Jersey at home, one of those games, I think game 6, right? We won at home, then we beat them at home. They haven't lost till then at home in the playoffs, so we beat them with the Phillies goal.
Philly.
And they're coming home. Like, if I was a betting man back then, I would bet everything I had in my life that we're going to win that game. And that disappointment after that game, it's still like, when I think about back to my career, this is the the one that got away. You know, it was, and we wanted to win. And you know, we played Game 7 at home, and we couldn't lose. I don't think we could lose. I remember scoring a goal that game, tying it up at 2, beginning of third. And then Marian Haas had maybe 2 or 3 breakaways, and that's the guy you wanted to have breakaways, right? And Martin Brodeur, obviously, his freaking play was unbelievable. So he kept it in, and then I think with like 2 minutes left, we got scored on, and you could hear a pin drop in the ring here. Like, and okay, we got 2 minutes, and yeah, that's still the one that I think about. Like, that should have been our year all the way, and win for Roger too. And
yeah,
that speech just motivated the guys. It was unbelievable how deep that went, and I still remember as it was yesterday.
That whole playoff run was amazing to watch, and you just got a sense like that was the year Ottawa's going to win the Stanley Cup, and it felt like you just had to get by New Jersey and you would have been okay. And that goal, I'll never forget it. So the following season, you lose to the Leafs again. And then all of a sudden it's the big sell-off because you go into the lockout, right? And you guys come out of that without you, Haas, Todd White, Sean Van Allen, Patrick Lalime. Did you know that you were going to get traded, which ended up, by the way, I didn't remember this. You got traded to LA to Montreal. It was a 3-way trade. I didn't remember you going to the Kings before, but did you know that trade was coming?
I thought it would, you know, after you have the exit interviews with the GM and, you know, after the season. So I kind of got that feeling that probably played my last game there, and you know, so did probably more guys. But you know, then the lockout year I played back home, and you know, then I got traded to before that I got traded. But funny thing that my agent called me from was it draft or just like Davis? I think it was draft day.
You got traded on June 26th.
I might have been the draft day, and my agent called me and said, "You going to LA?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I wasn't, you know, LA. Okay, well, all I was thinking like traffic every day and stuff. So I wasn't. But I said, "Okay, well, that's going to be a good change." And then maybe half an hour later, he calls me back and says, "Never mind, you're going to Montreal." I was like, "Oh, well, that's closer, I guess." You know, so it was. I guess Montreal wanted me, you know, want to make a trade, but Ottawa obviously didn't want to trade me to a division rival, and so Montreal had to go through LA to get me, and that's how it's happened.
Were you okay with the trade? Like, did it personally bother you a little just to know that you weren't going to play with Ottawa anymore?
I don't know if personally bothered me. I kind of felt like, you know, we had unfinished business here in Ottawa. You know, I kind of wanted to like maybe another shot at it. You know what I mean? Kind of like we were so close. Didn't bother. I guess that's the way it goes. So you don't really think about it, and you're starting preparing for your new team. And I wouldn't say bother me. I just felt that, you know, that unfinished business here in Ottawa, like wish it would end up a little bit differently.
So I reached out to a couple of your former teammates just to see if I could find any good stories. One of them I got was ask him about trying to get on the power play and then out of the power play meetings as a hab. Something about he led a passive aggressive protest to tell the coaches if we're not going to be on the ice on the power play, then we're not taking the 20 minutes before the game to listen to the power play meeting. Do you remember this?
What? Sorry, what happened?
That you were you were getting on the power play, but you didn't want to go to the power play meetings.
I wasn't on the power play.
I think he's saying that because you guys weren't getting any PP time, what was the point of sitting through a 20-minute meeting? It sounds a lot like something I would say, so I immediately understood it. So he's saying, why would you go to those 20-minute meetings if you weren't even going to get any power play time?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever said that, or
is it
maybe
it's bullshit? It could be bullshit.
I'm sure everybody would feel like it. I don't know. I didn't think I led any protest about it, but I might have said it. I don't know. It's
Mike Johnson told me this.
It's possible. Oh, Mike Johnson. There you go. Yeah, that was my PK partner for a long time in Montreal. So yeah. That's, you know what? If he probably remembers better than me, so if he says I said it, I probably said it.
That sounds about right. I remember a story about you, but I've never asked you, so I don't know if it's true. Somebody's doing a power play penalty killing meeting with the Sens. I don't know if it's Don Jackson or not. And whoever they're talking about, a star on the team, got traded like 2 days before. And they're breaking down the entire power play meeting of, you've got to watch this guy. And you went, coach, he was traded 2 games ago.
Yeah.
Meeting over.
Yeah. You know what? That was, well, most of the guys were kind of looking at each other and say, like, that's awkward. Like the whole power play was pretty much 90%, or the meeting was pretty much 90% about that guy. We were like, who's going to tell him? You know, you don't want to jump in your coach's meeting and tell him. So yeah, I remember that was awkward, very awkward. But it took us a while before somebody said something, you know. So it went on for some time before we had the guts to tell him, coach, hate to tell you, but this guy no longer plays for that team. Do
you remember the player?
Oh my God, no, I don't think I can remember.
But it was a star player. Yeah.
Anyway. Star player for sure, because that meeting, like I said, that meeting was 90% about him and about how he makes all the good plays, and you know how we have to watch him. And so I remember. I wish I could. I'm not gonna. If it comes to me during this interview, I'll tell you. But
you tell me. You played, as I mentioned earlier, 2 All-Star games in Toronto 2000, and then in Chicago. No, 2001. I can't remember. Colorado. That's it. You won the second game 14-12. No, North America won 14-12 versus the world, I think it is. You played with Matt Sundin, and I was just curious if what was that like facing? I don't know if it bothered you because he was a Leaf guy. Did any of that stuff ever rub off when it went to All-Star games and stuff?
No, not at all. You know, everybody knows, and Mark played too for a long time. You know, it's what's on the ice. It's kind of personal on the ice, but then off the ice, the guys are so like, you know, they know that this is a business and this is something different. So you go to an All-Star game and all the guys are awesome, and you just, I was just so excited to be, you know, in the locker room with so many good players, and obviously Matt Sundin, one of the best, if not the best guy in Toronto, one of the best for sure. And I was just happy to be around those guys, right? Because those were like, okay, what am I doing here? These guys are like, you know, way better than me. So I was just happy to be there. Nothing personal, nothing. I didn't hold any grudges against a guy, you know. That was guys are like that. You get traded all the time, and then you come to the locker room and okay, this is my family. You don't think about, you know, oh, this guy body checked me 3 years ago, I'm going to be mad at him. You know, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a lot less personal than most people think. Like I remember going to the World Championships, and I'd always tell the story, like Kevin Bieksa and Alex Burrows, I used to play against lots. We hated each other, but I played with them on a team. As soon as we see each other in the room, it's like nothing happened. Everyone's buddies. We don't even think about it. So I couldn't agree more with what you said there.
That's not true, because Meth blames Burrows for stealing his watch.
True. It's true. That is true. It was an old Tissot, though. We're okay.
You have a picture of Wayne Gretzky behind you. Do you remember? I think you're in the lineup, and I meant to check Gretzky's last game in Ottawa. Were you in that lineup? It would have been in 1999.
Yes, I was, and that was I remember he was, he's got the half an hour standing ovation, all the people standing up. I was on the ice, like after that, I think it was defensive zone face-off, after he got this ovation during the game. That was mid-game ovation, right? So we're just standing on the boards and just watching him do his thing, and he's kind of like, okay, guys, that's enough. Let's go play. And the people just keep cheering and clapping more. And so we go, it's a defensive zone face-off. And like I said, I was like checking the top lines, right? So we're going to the face-off in our zone. And the guys on the bench kind of like, you're going to have to let him win the face-off, And I was like, well, no, like defensive zone face-off, right? I cannot let him win it.
No
and
chance.
the guys are like, oh, you're going to be the biggest asshole if you don't. Like, look at this guy. He's getting 30 minutes standing ovation, like, don't be a jerk. I was like, then I kind of considered it. I was like, should I? Like, I don't want to be that. But you know what? I didn't let him win the face-off, and I beat him. I was pretty good on face-off. So, and Gretz wasn't the strongest on face-off, so I felt pretty confident. Maybe if it was a different zone, offensive zone or neutral zone, I would let him. But I just couldn't. And the guys were laughing. Obviously, they were joking. But for a little bit, I thought they were serious. I was considering, like, okay, maybe But then I said, what if they score? And like, that's not good. So I made the decision not to let him win, and I stand by it still.
That's so good. The end of the game. Do you remember Igor Kravchuk ended up with Gretzky's stick? Because you can see at the end of the game, Kravchuk skates around with Gretzky, and Gretzky ends up handing him his final stick from that game in Ottawa.
I didn't see that, but I remember somebody got his stick. If it was Igor, I'm sure you know better than me. But it's you know what? That was a great souvenir for sure. If you could, I guess I should be mad at myself. I didn't think about it. But you know what? Gretz, obviously best player that ever played, and his records will never be broken. And but the picture, if you see, I have a Gretz. Actually, it's signed by Gretz, and but the guy with him, that was my idol growing up, Jari Kurri. So that's kind of why I have this picture, because obviously Gretz the best of all time, and then my idol from growing up with him. So that's more why I have this picture here.
So did you play much against Jari?
Not a lot. I think first time I played against him, he was in LA. I think he went to a couple more teams after that. But you know what? I remember lining up against him first time ever on the ice, and this guy I looked up to, when since I was little, and it was one of those moments where you're realizing, holy crap, I'm in the NHL. Like, this is awesome. And what, I always liked him. He obviously played with Gretz, but I think he got a lot of points, but I still think he was a little bit underrated for what he did. He kind of let Gretz to do his, work his magic, and was a big part of who Wayne is. Or was, I mean.
No question. This may not be fair. I'm gonna ask you, do you think you were underrated playing in Ottawa? Only because you had to play behind Yash, and then there's the holdout, and you were always given the defensive role with Haas. I understand at one point you were the number one center, but it seemed you were always kind of second fiddle a bit.
I don't think so. It was hard coming. Like, people don't realize that, like, coming to NHL, I was always a scorer. Like, coming up, I was score a lot of goals. Since I was little, I played with the older kids, still score a lot of goals, and so I was. Then I went to Vegas. I had lots of goals there, and kind of. But then you come to NHL and you realize, well, all of these guys were scorers at one time, right? Yep. So I had to change my game, to kind of the defensive. I had to find my game to become more successful and change it around. And I thank Jacques for it, because he kind of gave me that direction to realize, okay, well, nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to play defense. You know, you don't want to be defensive forward. Now, you know, it's so Jacques gave me this direction. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's what I got to do. And then like I said before, then I realized, okay, well, if I do a good job defensively, I'll take care of the offense, you know, because Jaromir Jagr and all those guys, they didn't want to play defense. So ended up where it ended up, and I was grateful that I was able to change my game to fit in more. Because like I said, like most of the guys coming into the NHL are goal scorers at some point, and you think you're going to come here and score a lot of goals just like you did all your life, but that doesn't work that way, right? And it's still going on. And I was 18 years old. I was very young, and you can like right now. I think the development of young players right now is exceptional. Right, most of the teams, they do a great job, and they wait for the guy to be completely ready before we throw him in. Right?
Yeah.
It's hard to you're the top scorer on every team you ever play on, and then you go and you play. It's not easy to play third line, fourth line, because you're not built for that, right? So if you got to change, I had to change for me to get some success, and I did, and I'm glad. Obviously, I'm glad I did. It made me stay in the game for around 1,000 games, and had a pretty successful career.
969 games, Mr. Bonk played in the National Hockey League. You, a couple of questions.
Playoffs. I don't. That's the one. Sorry, that's the one thing I never understand. Why they never count playoffs into the games, right?
The only reason they don't is because not everybody plays in the playoffs. I'm like, well, so you should still be rewarded. You played 73 playoff games, had 27 points, but it just gets ignored.
Just like with ice time. It's like, you score 50 goals, but you play 20 minutes a game. You score 20 goals, but you play 15. Like, does the reward you play on a team? You do a good job. You play on a team that makes the playoffs. It should count.
I'm with you.
I don't know. I'm just bitter because 31 games, till 1,000, and I kind of wanted to get there, but I didn't. So that's just bitterness.
It's just a number.
We're going to call it 1,042 games from now on for you. I'm going to add the two together. It's
who's going to deliver the silver stick to me though,
or the Rolex? Got to get a Rolex too. I remember having to pay for Neeler's Rolex. I had to pay for Philly's Rolex. A lot of money.
Yeah, I don't care about the Rolex. I'm not a big watch guy, so I'm not a fancy guy. So, but the gold, the silver stick. The players always, that would be nice a souvenir. Yeah. Maybe right next to Gretz and the Yari right here.
I'll make some calls. The first time you played against Ottawa as a member of Montreal, how much money did you put on the board?
That I don't remember.
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm sure it was a lot because I played here. I played in Ottawa 10 years, so I'm sure it was a lot, and it was personal a little bit. I wanted to win. So I'm sure, let's say 1,000. I'm sure it was probably around 500. I would say maybe even 1,000. I'm not sure, but I remember it was a lot because that was a big game for me.
If it was Sean Van Allen's first game against his former team, how much money would be on the board?
Sean would find a reason why not to put money on. You know what? Nobody ever liked to put money on.
No.
It sucked because guys found any smallest detail why you should put up, and we had. I'm going to mention again Brad Joel, or massage therapist, and he had the book, with all
the book. Yep.
He remembered every detail about every city, and there was games when you felt pretty safe. Okay, well, I'm good, I don't have to put up, but then the guys came up with some kind of stat or some reason, and then you're like, oh crap.
They'd be like, Bonkie, you got your first assist here in Montreal, money on the board. Yeah. Like I'm getting PTSD from those words that you're mentioning right now, because I'm the same way. It's like, fuck, another $500, another grand, whatever. It's It always
He
added up.
was the heckling in the locker was always awesome because guys are like always, oh, I'll put up 100, and we were like, okay, cheap.
Oh, the cheaps.
But then he
God.
came to you, and then you're like, whoa, I got 100. Guys got over. Yeah, that was hard. It was a lot of money put up, and you know what? But he went to a good cause, right? He was through a big party at the end of the season, and and so then you try to the money you put in, you try to spend it, by drinking expensive wines. And I put a lot of money in there. I'm gonna drink. It was always fun. It was good, little relaxed before the games because that was kind of like before we went on the ice, and that got you to think about a little bit.
It lightens up. Lights up the mood for sure.
Game.
Yeah. And did you guys, Bonkie, did you guys play the credit card game on the road? Like, because I know when I played in Columbus, we had a Czech mafia on our team. Like, there was like 7 Czech players on our team. And these guys, like, once in a while, I'd get invited out to eat with them, and they were animals. Like, always very expensive wines, really nice restaurants, and they would play the credit card game. So eventually I'm just like, this, like, I'm not going anymore. So I'm assuming you were probably one of those credit card game guys.
I was always in for a game, and you know what, like, I have a great story about that too. When we're playing in Florida, I think we were in playing Florida first, and then Tampa. But we're going to a restaurant for a nice steak, and I think it was only like the Czech guys. I was in Slovakian, like me, Haas, Marty, Zdeno. And so we go to a nice, there was maybe 5 of us. We go to a nice restaurant down in Miami somewhere for a big steak. And so we were like, okay, let's credit card game, right? So everybody's nervous. Because those restaurants, those were expensive. You get $100 each, $100 each at least, right? With
at least.
Even glass of wine was like $30,
Yeah.
Because we drank the good stuff. Couldn't tell the best stuff against good stuff. But
I know.
we picked by the price. Oh, this is going to be good because it's anyway. So we play credit card game, and sure enough, Zdeno loses, right? And he's mad. Like, Zdeno's great guy, but he was back then. He didn't make a lot, right? And he was always money conscious, so he hated. Plus, he hated losing, so he lost the credit card game in Florida. So he's mad at us. It's like, oh, you guys talked me into it. Like, come on. It's like, whatever. So we play Florida. We go over to Tampa. We have another day before we play Tampa. We go to Ruth Chris. Now 14 guys are going. 14 guys are going for a steak. Ruth Chris. Remember Ruth Chris? It's not a cheap again.
Yeah.
So 14 guys sitting around the table. Somebody yells out, oh, credit card game, right? And you feel comfortable. It's 14 guys. You cannot lose, right? Because, well, one of you has to lose. But so check is like $1,500, right?
Yeah,
now we're like everybody's sweating, right? Everybody wants to play, but everybody's that, 5% nervous that it's gonna be them. And Zdeno's like, nope, I'm not. I'm putting on my share. I'm not playing.
Oh.
And for 5 minutes, they're like, come on, Zdeno, like, what are the chances? Like this 14 of us, there's no chance. So me and Haas talked him into playing again, and he's not happy about it, but he's like, oh, well, I guess. So he throws the credit card in. Surely enough, you can guess what happened.
No way.
The taxi ride home, or back to the hotel, nobody talked. Zdeno is the biggest guy sitting up front. We're not saying anything. We're not laughing. Like, we're not making fun of him because we want to live.
Yeah.
So cop ride back to a hotel, quiet, and kind of behind his back when he leaves. We're like, oh, this is unbelievable. Like, what are the chances? I don't think he talked to us for like a couple of weeks. He was mad. He was mad, especially at me and Haas, because we kind of, pushed him to throwing the credit card in. And after 2 weeks, I think he said a couple of words to us. He was not happy. And I know he's done well for himself.
He's made it enough.
Yeah. I think he would be still the same way. And you know what? That's
Does he and he doesn't drink, right, Bonkie? Like, wasn't he pretty health conscious too? So if you guys went and had these elaborate dinners with good wine, I'm assuming he didn't drink any wine, or did he drink a little bit?
He would. You know,
Okay.
he was very, but he like just like everybody else. You know how he was. There wasn't a big party. We played the next night, so everybody had a glass of
Moderation.
wine with the dinner, right?
Yeah.
And I think I remember him having a glass of wine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I've always heard that he was like this, like super health freak, health conscious guy that never drank at all. That's what I was told.
He was, but I've seen him have a glass of wine with dinner or stuff.
Good.
He was a health freak though. He liked to work out. Working out was his hobby. Like,
was he doing it at the rink like all the time after games? And I'm asking you a lot of Zdeno Chara questions because he was my favorite player when I was like in my teens.
I was
curious.
He was working out all the time, and he was like before practices, after practices. After he went home after, like, we had the practice and then we had workout, and he went home, and some guys watch movies, listen to music. Zdeno like, "What are you doing?" I'm going to work out. I was like,
seriously?
So he worked out in his house after just because it was his hobby, and obviously he benefited from that, but he loved it. He was so strong. He was a beast.
Yeah.
Do you ever, since that day of the credit card game, have you ever brought that back up to him years later?
No, never. I don't think we ever did. We don't. You don't put your hand in you don't put a hand in a cage with a tiger in it ever. Doesn't matter how much they tell you, oh, he's a friendly tiger. Nope. I don't think we always talk about it when he wasn't around, and how funny it was, but I don't think we ever brought it up to him. Yeah. I would think I would be pretty safe now, but I haven't seen him in a long time, so I don't know.
Send him a text. I want to know about one guy we've never really talked about in the show is Alex Degg. He was drafted the year before you. What are your impressions on him? Because you were in the room, and he's one guy that doesn't get talked about a lot, but certainly he's the reason there became a salary cap for rookies and all kinds of stuff. Can you give me your assessment of Alex Degg?
I didn't mind Alex at all. I think we were buddies. He was a very, I would say, flamboyant. What do you call flamboyant? Like eyes closed and stuff around. But as a person, like, I like Alex. He was a great guy. Like, a little different. He was a very confident man or kid or whatever. And like to have fun and stuff, but there's nothing I can say bad about Alex. Like he was the creator of in the warm-ups, you go back then, we didn't wear buckets in the warm-ups, so he was the creator. He liked to look good, right? We always like, okay, no bucket, but you came out, but he was in front of the mirror, make sure the hair. He's the creator of the famous look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah.
So but you know what? I liked him. I cannot say nothing bad about it. He was a young guy and fitted well. I know a lot of guys have problems with him. I never did.
Did you mind switching your number from 76 to 14?
14 was actually my my number, like, growing up, so I liked 14 better. I went to Vegas and we had a player. I think he was an playing assistant coach too. Mark Hapshide. Remember Mark Hapshide? Yep. For sure. He wore 14, so that's the reason I didn't wear 14 in Vegas, because I did want it. So I switched the number of the year that I was born, right, 76, and that kind of transferred to NHL. And then when 14 became available, I didn't want to switch. Like, I wasn't planning on switching, but we went to low numbers and 14 was open. So I was happy that I ended up with 14.
2 questions. Should Daniel Alfredsson be in the Hall of Fame? And I know that's a biased question since you played with him, but what are your thoughts of him not being in the Hall?
For sure, he should. In my mind, is that not winning Stanley Cup. It's gonna, I'm thinking that they're gonna give him that, the run around and make him wait a little bit. But I hope and I think he should that he will get there one day.
Everybody that's been on our show that's played for Jacques Martin usually has a Jacques Martin story. Do you have one?
Jacques, I don't know. I'm sure I do. Jacques was a great guy. I loved him as a coach. He wasn't really person. He wasn't really
warm and fuzzy,
and always. Sometimes he tried really hard sometimes to be like funny and be one of the guys, but he wasn't. We kind of looked at it, was like, okay, bud, you're trying too hard. Like, so, but I don't know.
Did you enjoy his pregame in the preseason? He would always go somewhere for a team bonding. Did you enjoy those events?
That was good. That was good. We always there was always a lot of fun, that, and kind of that team building, and there was always night when we went out. Everybody went out as a team, and so that was good. That was I never minded it. We did some fun stuff, and that's people still do it. People still that team building. It's important, and it was onto it and helped us. And but Jacques was there's another guy I cannot say bad thing about it. He helped me a lot, and I think he was a great coach, and obviously had some more success after he left here. And
yeah, do you you become a coach now to minor hockey for your sons? Do you ever find yourself thinking that's what Jacques did?
I don't know. It's we're brought up kind of like same. Now it's different. The coaching now is different. You kind of heavy like psychologist most. Yeah. Like it's so different.
You have to really manage.
Yeah. As a head coach, you kind of have to let your other two coaches coach, and you manage the personalities around. And Jacques didn't do that. He was like, he treated everybody the same. Now every player requires treatment. This guy you can push hard. This guy you have to be very careful with what you say. Like it's a hard coaching now with the kids. It's I'm still learning. Still learning how to approach, especially like kids between let's say 10, 15, right? And you have 10 years old, they still believe everything you say, and 14, 15, they think they know everything. Growing up, hormones going, puberty. So it's still a lot to learn. Like I think I know a lot about the game, but how to coach efficiently, especially the young players, it can be challenging.
Do you tell them? Are they on their cell phones all the time now? That's something that I didn't grow up with, and Wally or yourself didn't have. Like, is that something you guys have to manage too? Is the social media?
Well, I'm coaching U13 now, and I don't. We have. You have to have a couple dads in the locker room all the time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
We're not we only come into the locker room, like, let's say before a game, 10 minutes before a game, and just kind of talk about the game. So we don't even see the kids like preparing, right? They go for their warm up and come back to the room. And we have two designated dads that stand just in the locker room, making sure everything's I think it's like the thing you have to do now. So I know the kids play music, and at 12, you're still a little bit too young for social media. But a couple of years ago, when I coached, the major bantam Myers, I know the social media was big for them, and some guys, had their phone in their hand all the time, and that's unfortunately that's our time, right? like we didn't have that, which was awesome. Because there was more communication between the guys, and you know, we
were a lot happier. We were a lot happier just talking to each other.
I think so. Like people now know everything because of their phones, but doesn't really make them smarter, right?
No.
But unfortunately, like, and I use my phone all the time, and it's great for so many things, right? Yeah. But there's I guess, downfall to it too.
Yeah. Alfie's on the bench coaching Pembroke. You're coaching. Jason York's coaching. Chris Neal's coaching. Who makes the best coach of all the former Senators?
Probably me.
Good answer.
I'm actually coaching against Nealer. He coaching the Silver 7, AA U13. Yeah. His son's on there, so we do coach against each other. And they have a really good team. I think they might be leading our league. They're first or second. Them and Nepean are probably the two strongest team in our league. And but every time we play Nealer, we play 4 times, and we tied them first 2 games. Now we beat them 2 in a row, and it's always kind of a little personal. It's nothing to do with me. It's about the kids. The kids. Canada and Silver 7 have this rivalry, right? So the kids always step up, and they try extra hard when they play Silver 7. So he hasn't beat me this year yet, and players always like, oh, I out-coached them, which is minimum coaching goes into the game, right? You teach them skills and stuff, but But I saw him. I beat him last week on Wednesday, Thursday. I saw him at Shishikad. I was having lunch there with my buddy. He came in with his. He looked at me. I was like, you're the only team. You guys are the only team I haven't beat yet this year, So that kind of make me feel good. I was like, I have totally outcoached you. But
before we let you go, who's this? You've played with a lot of characters in Ottawa, particularly. Who was the strangest teammate you had?
Strangest teammate? I don't know.
He doesn't strike me for the kind of guy that would throw a player under the bus based off of this conversation today.
No. It's not under the
Damian
bus.
Rhodes.
I don't know. We always, usually the goalies are
they're weird,
different. But we had Tugger and Patty, like they were normal. Rosie was a little bit. Maybe Peter Schaefer.
Oh,
Peter Schaefer.
Yeah.
He was a little different guy. Great guy. I'm not. He was a great guy and stuff. But he was a little bit. With his stick. Have you ever seen Peter Schaefer's stick?
No, the curve on it was ridiculous.
Oh my God!
Curve,
it was like straight.
Like this?
Then it was like. You look more like right-handed stick than left-handed stick. I think wherever he went after Sens, I think they made him switch his stick. Like his coach told him, "You're not gonna play if you don't change your stick."
He went to Boston. That's so good.
He was. I would say he was a little bit. He wore this funky clothes, and I'm pretty regular guy. Like wearing jeans and sweatshirts is fine with me. But he was always like the fashion guy that you see the clothes like 10 years later and you're like, oh, I know where he was going with that, but I don't think I had any like weirdos on the teams. Even the goalies were pretty normal from what I hear from other guys that about talking about their goalies. But we always had group in Ottawa, and I loved my time here. As always tight group and lots of young guys and some vets that fit in, great. And I remember those times, and I always, think about it. Great time here. Maybe one of the reasons why I moved back here to live, because I always felt good here, and now it hasn't changed all these years.
Yeah, and we appreciate you, Bonkie. Like for 10 years, you were so good to watch play and fun to be around the room, even if you were a little crusty to me. So I enjoyed you being around and appreciate you taking the time today to talk to us.
Well, thank you for having me on, guys. like I was pretty nervous. You asked me about it, and of course I say yes because I thought, oh, it's gonna be fun. And then Wednesday's getting closer, and I'm like, okay, well, I haven't done like interview.
You were excellent.
So I haven't been in that kind of spotlight for a while. I was like, then I'm like, well, maybe nobody listens to it, which I know.
That's true too.
It's not true.
Partially correct.
It's not true because a lot of people has been saying, great things about your podcast. So
good.
I don't know. I was just trying to make myself a little bit more relaxed, but like since 9 o'clock this morning, I was like, okay, well, make sure I go to the bathroom before I, get on. Make sure I have, I drink enough water before, I don't want to get thirsty. And it was a little.
And cannabis is legal now, Bonkie.
I've been around long, and I speak decent English, I would say, but sometimes I still think, oh crap, just don't say something stupid. It's like I don't know. It's been following me since it's hard for somebody who doesn't the native language.
Yeah.
But then I have to say, like back home when I was doing interviews, like when I played the last 5 years, and I was doing interviews. And because I was used to doing interviews about hockey in English, then a lot of interviews in Czech where, I threw English words in it all the time. Like forecheck and, net and like, it's just my brain was kind of thinking in English.
Yep.
When you learn language, you kind of have to translate it inside your brain. But then now I'm kind of, when I hear English, I already think in English, right? I don't have to translate it anymore, but I'm a little nervous every day.
You were excellent today.
Back when I did the interviews, and like I said today, it wasn't easy, every minute getting closer. I was,
maybe I'm going to text them and say I'm sick or something.
No, I wouldn't do it. Like if I make a commitment, I wouldn't say anything until there was something serious. But I wanted to do this. I think you guys doing a great job, and I think it would be fun. But like I said, I was pretty nervous, I have to admit.
Well, you did a great job, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Much appreciated. So Bonkie, we're going to do part 2 because there's a lot more questions I need to ask you still about some of your teammates and playing outdoor games and all kinds of stuff. So don't lose my number.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for having me and kind of guiding me through. You guys did an excellent job of, not putting, hopping in when you needed to help me a lot. Good luck with your podcast. And anytime you want to talk about something, let me know. And I'll sweat it out for you guys.
Thanks, Bonkie.
Thanks, Bonkie. Appreciate it,
see you guys. Have a good one.
Man.
The Wally Methot Show brought to you by BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc. BEI specializes in excavation, grading, drainage projects, also equipment rentals, aggregate, and topsoil sales. Visit bonisherexcavating.com. BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Craig, happy anniversary.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, boy. Happy anniversaries to you guys as well. It's a big day. Matt
fact
playing
you
outdoor
haven't
games.
killed- I was going to say, the fact you haven't killed us all is probably a testament to you.
I love it. Whenever you're like, Craig's going to kill us, I was like, Craig wants to hear you guys talk about sports and shit. So yeah, Craig doesn't like when you guys want to go off topic. So
It's so good. I got a story. Just when Radek Bonk brought up going to Ruth's Chris and
the credit card game one
and how much it cost. So back in the old days, before Bell bought TSN, we used to be able to go anywhere and have just expense accounts. We could order anything. So I remember having like $52 room service in New York for breakfast and all that stuff. So we're in Philadelphia. It's around 99, 2000, I want to say. We go to Ruth's Chris and my cameraman and I sit down and we order steaks and it just shows up. And we're like, where's the rest of it? Like, don't I get some like veggies and stuff? They're like, no, you have to order all that stuff. So now we're ordering up asparagus and potatoes. And anyway, so we get the bill. It's like $300. And I'm terrified I'm about to get fired because I'm 25 and I've never had a $300 bill. So I call the expense guy in Toronto. I'm like, I'm sorry, we just had this dinner. And they're like, okay. do not do that again, but I hope you enjoyed your meal. And I was like, okay, thanks. So yeah, I was like 320
Yeah,
bucks.
the
I'm like,
a la
holy.
carte, all the
Yeah.
big steakhouses down there. It's you have to order your
Yeah.
sides separately. Yeah.
I felt like such a loser for like not knowing I had to order asparagus and stuff on the side, just a plate, just a
Well, the
piece of meat.
same.
How
The
sad
same
did
thing-
your little burnt steak look on its own with no sides next
One
to
little
it?
burnt
I-
steak.
I'm sure I would have. What do they call it when they cut it in half and they I don't know. Anyway, they fillet it or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the same thing happened to me, but like way different situation. This is toward the end of my career, and I was on the road, and Ellie went out with a bunch of the girls in Dallas to like a really nice steakhouse. And of course, in Dallas, they don't just have normal steaks. You can get the A5 Japanese Wagyu steaks and the Australian Wagyu. There's like different levels to that, right? So I'm on the road, and I think we weren't playing that night, and I get a text from her, and she's like, "Oh my God, Mark, you'll never believe what happened." And I'm thinking like, "Oh, what happened?" Like she's pregnant at the time, so I'm like a little scared.
Yeah.
What could have happened? In the end, it had nothing to do. Everything was fine with Jack, our unborn son at the time. She had ordered 6 ounces of Japanese A5 Wagyu that I believe came up to like 350 American dollars just for the meat alone on her plate. So I'm thinking like, but I can't get mad at her because of course that's disingenuous to a degree because I'm on the road and she's at home alone. And at the same time, she's pregnant. So I don't want to get her upset.
You say
anyway,
nothing.
so, but like 350, she's never done it again since, but 350 American for red meat, like half the normal portion that I would have of a normal steak. Anyway, this goes to show you how insane some of those prices are. And anyway, she had a bit of a panic attack, but we got through it.
Was it delicious? Because I
think
imagine it would
so.
probably be pretty delicious.
Yeah, like you can cut it. You can just cut it with your fork. Like you could just dig right into it, like and scoop it up with your fork. That's how soft those
we got to
steaks are.
try one of those, like the highest flown in from Japan one in Vancouver once before the draft, and it was ridiculous.
Oh, nice.
It was
They're
ridiculous.
so good. They're like, and they're very marbled. Like you can buy them at the stores here. Obviously not Japanese grade. They're much cheaper, but they're very, very fatty, and you can't cook them for as long.
Yeah.
Wally, I feel like Wally wouldn't like them because you have to like leave them a
It's
little
like
medium rare in
juicy
the
and like
middle.
flavorful, and yeah.
Yeah, but they're so marbled. They're almost like pale looking. It's like a white steak. Yeah.
If
Anyway.
you buy it and cook it, I will eat it.
Oh, what a sacrifice you're making.
Yeah.
If you buy the most expensive red meat, I'll try it.
Wally, you're a
Okay.
warrior.
Yeah.
All right,
See,
fine. I'll eat some of that expensive meat.
I will make that sacrifice for this show.
Okay.
Just
All right,
wash it
sounds
down
good.
with a $500 bottle of wine if I have to. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
you.
I'm cheap with my wine. Well, not cheap, but I'm not a big expensive wine drinker. I like my medium priced wine. Yeah.
So if you were sitting home on a Friday, just having some wine, what's the price of the bottle?
Around $20. Like it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. You know, I've got friends that have made far less money, drink much more expensive wine. So it's just preferences. Yeah. Like 20 is kind of the sweet spot for me.
I have found one bottle of wine that's, I think it's 23 or 24 bucks at the LCBO. And
Which one?
It's called CS. Anyway,
I've never heard of that one. Okay.
It's really, really good. So
what is it? Is it a red, white, Pinot?
Yeah, it's a Cab Sauv.
Cab.
Yeah.
It's Cab. Oh, see, yeah, you like those Cab Sauv. See, I'm a Pinot Noir guy. I like them a little.
See, I don't
lighter.
mind Pinot. I also like a Malbec. It just depends on the mood.
Depends on the mood. Yeah. What you're eating.
I don't like to talk about this, but did you guys know that I failed a wine class in university?
Do you mean to say you were going to become a sommelier?
No, I took it as an elective first year because I was like, introduction to wine.
Okay.
I was like, hell yeah. So there was a lab and every Tuesday from like 2 to 4.
How does one fail that course?
Well, here's the hard part is like the other people in the course, like they were actually taking like oenology or whatever. Some of these people owned wineries. And I was just some idiot thinking like, drink wine.
This should be a hoot. I'll just go drink wine and pass this course.
Yeah. So because I lived on campus, I didn't have to like, they'd make you taste the wine and spit it out. I would just get every Tuesday from 2 to 4 and drink like 3 bottles of wine. And it was all, I probably got my money's worth, but I definitely failed that course. I'm colorblind too, which is, so when you have to spot like the tiny little differences and everything, I was bad at it. So I failed that.
That is so good.
Not a wine guy. So listen to Brent's recommendations and not mine.
Fair enough. By the way, it's as I said, our 1-year anniversary. Meth, do you have no, I know you don't, but do you have a favorite moment?
Oh,
That's what I thought.
That's a really hard. I hate the awkward silence that I'm creating right now. I can't pinpoint one thing in particular. For me, I love talking hockey. Obviously, you guys know that.
Yeah.
I like some of the intricate things that Craig and Alex had created, like the Methot stuff. I think is really funny. Some of the editing skills. Obviously, Wally, you're a pro, and doing all these great rundowns for me have been terrific too. I think I just love the production value that we're able to bring. You know, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's my favorite part of the show. When I'm watching it, it just looks so professional, and we've done a pretty good job, I think.
What about you?
If anybody ever says like, what should I watch in your show? I'm like, watch the live show where Meth cramps up.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. When they get the hamstring cramp.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then you sit back down and you have to get back up again.
Because I sat down prematurely
Yeah.
because I'm like, we're live or whatever. So I gotta sit down and figure my shit out because you and Ian were still talking.
Yeah.
And then I sit back down and bam, it caught me again. So yeah, that was the moment.
I wish now, and I look back, like all our early shows, I wish we could do over again because they'd be so much better. But that particular show, I was caught off guard as I'm trying to announce like the 4th overall pick or something.
It was McTavish. It was Mason McTavish.
Yeah.
Our boy.
So I'm trying to like keep it together, and I've never had a guy as a co-host walk off a set or do anything. So I don't know how to handle it. Had I known, I would have shut everything down and watched this all play out.
Well, fair enough. and on that note, for those who are even remotely interested in McTavish or even Tyler Boucher, I'm doing their game tomorrow in Hamilton. So if they want to tune in to watch at least Boucher, a little Sens action there. So we'll see. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Craig, do you have a moment since you get to sit here and stare at us become idiots?
Yeah, I was going to say the live show stuff too. I like the ability that you guys have now to like kind of listen to the chat. And it's cool to see how that influences kind of the interviews and stuff we get to do now. People will say, hey, ask him about this. It's pretty neat because that's kind of, I think it's always cool when we get an opportunity to ask these guys questions I want to know. So I think it's pretty sweet that we're able to kind of facilitate that for fans now. And it's dug up some good stories for us. So I'd say that I like the live shows. They're pretty fun. It adds a little more element, right? What could go wrong? Like if something goes wrong here, I'll just fix it. But if it happens live, like it's pretty funny. So I kind of like the lack of a net that we get to work with on those ones.
Yeah. That, you know what, that should probably be more Whitewater sponsor. That should be a complete drinking of Whitewater the entire show. Anyway.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, the next year should be good. We're going to have to get some more guests lined up. We're going to think bigger, get some different guys that we have planned for the show. That should be pretty entertaining. Then we're going to try and get Meth to do some more fun stuff.
I would like to, at some point, I don't know how we're going to have to try to work this into the show. And I know we talked about it in the past, but even to get like it would have to be a legitimate person and definitely not live, but maybe get like a fan or two on here and we can have like a Royal Rumble or style argument on like contentious topics. You know what I mean? So like, for example, Brandstrom, I could go back and forth with someone that really pushes for him where maybe I'm a little more critical. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah,
so you could get the entire fan base then again.
Yeah.
The only challenge is having somebody on and starts dropping F-bombs and yelling and screaming at me. So that's something we'd have to avoid.
Yeah, that's more for Twitter, I think.
I will get somebody.
Bring it on.
Almost like a debate series, right? We'll have some topics, pick your side, debate. Yeah, we can bring in some experts.
We'll work something in like that. That'll be exciting, I think, for some people. So we'll see if we can figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking forward to it. As always, thank you once again to gongshowgear.ca. Head on over to gongshowgear.ca. Always have sales on, but also you can pick up some Wham merchandise like Meth's lovely hat, Craig's sweatshirt, or t-shirts as well. So go over to gongshowgear.ca, who's always been very good to us. And to thank you to all our sponsors over the past year, especially Whitewater, Sports Interaction, BEI, and Gong Show for helping us out through this first year. We look forward to year number 2. And to all of you who have watched, thank you. And if you liked it, maybe hit like and subscribe. I don't get to say that enough, and Craig would like me to do that. So we will see you all again soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.